Judaism, the idea of merit plays a very important role. One might say, I hope or pray that we merit the favor of Yah in a given situation, that the kingdom would come, that the restoration of all things would come early. May we merit a healing. May we merit an answer to prayer. For those of us that have been raised in the church, merit plays no role in it whatsoever. It's all about grace. We receive nothing because from merit because we can't merit anything. After reading Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter number 3, we may want to re-examine the idea of merit and what it might mean to our American future. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Devarim, words. Today we're looking at Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter number 3. And let's begin reading with verse number 1. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, came out against us, he and all of his people, to battle at Edrei. Yahweh said to me, do not fear him, for I have given him and all of his people and his land into your hand, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon. Now, in the previous chapter, the details are given as to how Israel went out against Sihon, king of the Amorites. Yah says, I've given him and all of his army and all of his people into your hand. Do not spare any of them, man, woman, or child. Destroy everything. And so they did. But when it came to Og of Bashan, Yah adds this disclaimer, do not fear him. Now, Sihon and Og are protectorates, city-states that guard the entranceway into this region of the Middle East, into the Promised Land. They're very similar peoples. Yah says to Sihon, wipe him out. With Og, he adds, do not fear him. What is it about Og that would cause a possible fearing of him? Now, he's a giant. His bed is supposed to have been about 13.5 feet long. But is that the reason why? Is there something more to it? When you read rabbinical commentators, Rashi in particular, Rashi says that Og was the same, quote, one who had escaped that we find in Bereshit or Genesis 14:13. Let's go back there for a moment. 5 city-states against 4 are now at war, and Avram's, his nephew, Lot, we call him Lot, but Lot has been taken captive, he and his family. A fugitive escapes and comes and tells Avram, Lot has been taken captive, to which Avram rises up, takes his men, and they go and they liberate him. Now Rashi says that Og was this one who had escaped from the battle and came and told Abraham. And because of that, Og may have gained some merit in Yah's eyes. And Moshe may have wondered if the merit that Og had achieved in the eyes of Yah was enough to protect him against Israel. It's one thing for us to say that we believe, but we also now understand our belief has to be demonstrated. Is it possible that the demonstration of our belief has gained for us some sense of merit in that when Yah looks at us, he sees our acts of obedience and he moves in favor toward us? In the case of Eov, when Hasatan came and slandered and accused him, Yah protected him because he saw the righteous acts that the man had been walking in. if we want to be real about it, you and I are very likely enjoying the benefit and the favor of Yah because of prayers that our ancestors have interceded and offered in our behalf. I know personally that my grandparents and my parents, especially my grandparents on my Philip's side, that they prayed for their children and their grandchildren, for the Father to use them and put his hand upon them. I heard those prayers. And so I have an understanding that I have merited some small degrees of favor with Yah in that my parents have asked for that merited favor. Not that I've achieved my own righteousness, but by my own acts of obedience, by your acts of obedience, Yah favors us. So the question is, if Og, as Rashi says, was this one who had escaped, was the intervention that this one had in behalf of Lot enough to merit him protection against Israel? Yah is saying, do not fear him. Whatever merit may be applied to him has nothing to do with this battle. Go take him out. Now, this is all Rashi's perspective. It's other rabbinical commentators' so if I can say this, perspective. And it may be accurate, maybe it's not. But it gives rise to a pertinent question for us. When it comes to these last days and the going nations rising up against Israel, as Scripture says will happen, are there nations that have done righteous deeds that will now be forgotten simply because they rise up against Israel? And let's also be reminded as we explore this question that Israel, when it says that all the nations of the earth will rise up against Israel, it's not just the land of Israel, it's the people of Israel, which means it's not just the Jews who are in the land. And I'm sure that is the main portent of that. But let's also understand that Israel is scattered in the nations abroad in the earth. And this anti-Israel sentiment, this anti-Semitic sentiment that is even now rising fervently in the earth, is that which is being spoken of. Now, America, we have intervened in the behalf of other countries. We have sent Bibles to foreign countries by the truckloads, shiploads. We have fed other countries. We have come to the rescue of countries with national and natural disasters. We defeated Nazism and helped to rebuild Europe. We conquered Japanese imperialism in the Asian islands and liberated numerous peoples, especially the Filipinos. We have done enormous good in the earth. There are a lot of things that you could put in the positive check area column in our behalf. But are all of those things a wash if this nation, for some inexplicable, foolish reason, should decide that it's time to stand against Israel? It's not that we've always been the best friend to Israel as it is. Yes, we've come to her aid, oftentimes reluctantly. There have been times that we could have done more and we chose to do nothing. Remember, there was a shipload of Jews who were asking to disembark and to come to America during the Second World War. And our government said no. And many of those people ended up perishing as a result of that. So we're not blameless. We perhaps do have some merit, but it will not stand if we act unrighteously. Be righteous, but then walk righteously, and maintain that. Shabbat Shalom to you, to your family, to all those who gather with you. May the presence of the Most High fill your Shabbat as you seek His face. We'll see you again next week. Shalom.